Alright, so this is my Stardust Assault Mode deck. My Graydle Assault Mode deck. Since the Graydles can make Stardust, you can make an Assault Mode deck, right? So this is Stardust Assault Mode. You contribute this card to negate the activation of a spell, trap, or effect monster's effect, and destroy that card. If you negate an effect this way, you can special summon this card from your graveyard during the end phase. When this card on the field is destroyed, either by battle or by card effect, you can special summon one Stardust Dragon from your graveyard, and this is the Stardust Dragon. As long as you summon it properly, you can bring it back with Stardust Assault Mode. Graydle Slime. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can target 2 Graydle cards you control, destroy them. If you do special summon this card, you can only use this effect once per turn. When summoned this way, you can target 1 Graydle monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position. Graydle Dragon is a Graydle monster, so you can bring it back with the effect if you want. But typically you bring back a level 3 Graydle monster, so you can synchro into an 8-star monster of your choice, typically Stardust. This effect says 2 Graydle cards, not Graydle monsters. So if the Graydle monsters are in your spell and trap zone because they're equipped to a monster, they are treated as Graydle card. Graydle Parasite is a Graydle card, and so is Graydle Impact. In case you use it, those are Graydle cards. But if you have a Graydle monster in your monster zone, it's a Graydle card, so you can pop it while in the monster zone. An interesting little tidbit is if you have Graydle Eagle in your monster zone and you destroy it with the effect of Graydle Slime, you do get Graydle Eagle's effect, so that's nice to know, nice to keep track of. Same goes for if you use Graydle Alligator with Graydle Impact. Since Graydle Impact will destroy the Graydle Alligator in your monster zone, you will get its effect to snatch, steal a monster. And with Graydle Cobra, if you play Call of Haunted, Call of Haunted will work with it and trigger its effect. This is interesting that Graydle Parasite itself doesn't trigger Cobra's effect, right? So all the other ones do get their effects from one another, but Graydle Cobra is the only one that doesn't directly get an effect for the Graydle Parasite. Does, if I'm right, does get it for the Graydle Split. So let's check that out, because that's probably what you meant to use it, since he is on the card. Target a monster during your main phase while this card is equipped to a monster by this effect. You can send this card to the graveyard, destroy the monster equipped. If you do special, alright, so you're meant to use you'll get Cobra's effect if you use it with Split. So interesting enough. So you can, you can't do it with Parasite. Parasite really doesn't work that way. Doesn't destroy, it just summons. Alright, moving on. Graydle Alligator. If this card in your monster zone is destroyed by battle and sent to a graveyard, it gets its effect to target a face-up monster your opponent controls and take control of it, and equip this monster to it. But if it's destroyed by a spell card effect and sent to a graveyard, it does the same thing. This one does the same thing, except if a trap card destroys it while it's in the monster zone and sends it to a graveyard, you can target a monster your opponent controls and take control of it and equip this to it. Graydle Eagle. Same thing, monster cards zone, destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or by a monster's effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target a monster your opponent controls and take control of it and equip this to that monster. Supply Squad. Since your monsters will be dying by battle or card effect, depending on the situation, but typically by battle, once per turn, if a monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or by a card effect, draw a card. If you have 3 copies of these on the field, whenever a monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to draw, you'll be able to draw 3 cards if you have all 3 on the field. Monster Reincarnation lets you discard 1 card to target 1 monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand. You could use salvage so you can recycle your Graydle monsters, but I like Monster Reincarnation instead because of the fact that I can recycle, my extra deck monsters. I only got 1 Black Winged Dragon in there, 1 Hot Red, 1 Graydle Dragon, You know, I got only one Exciton, you know, you see only one Infinity, Fortress, and stuff like that. So Monster Reincarnation allows me to recycle these, so it's like having extra copies of these cards. So Monster Reincarnation is really, really good for that aspect. Of course, you can, you know, discard, you know, any cards that are dead draws. You know, in case you have an extra copy of this you don't need, you could discard it and get a monster back. So it's really useful, obviously. Galaxy Cyclone, target a set spell or trap card destroyed. Throw it in the main phase except the turn in which this went to the graveyard. You can banish it to target one face up spell or trap card on the field and destroy it. So it's multi-purpose, gotta love that. Mystical Space Typhoon, target one spell or trap card on the field and destroy it. It's a quick play. You know what to do with it. Win-win blast. This is useful against cards that can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, or you don't want to destroy them by battle or card effects. So win-win blast is useful for that. Also, it sends the card back to the top of the opponent's deck, so they'll end up drawing that same card again. So you can kind of deliberately make your opponent dead draw. Plus, it'll stall you longer, especially if they drew a card and then they set it and then they like a trap and they end their turn and you're like win-win blast or on the end phase, throw it back on top of the deck. You just saved yourself an extra turn. So your turn, you draw something. It's like, okay, I drew something, but I can't use it right now, so I end my turn. It'll be their turn. They'll draw that same card, then they'll set it again, then they'll end the turn. So now you got an extra card. You know what I mean? So you just essentially got two cards. You were able to stall long enough to draw two new cards and use those two cards to do something. You know, as opposed to the win-win blast. Started this assault mode combo you had. It's like, damn, I only have these two cards. They're useless. I mean, I could stall, but I want something better, something awesome, like the Graydle Parasite, or maybe a Monster Reincarnation or something, so I can get something back from the grave and make a comeback, or Soul Charge, right? Moving on, Black Horn of Heaven. Negate the special summon of one of your opponent's monsters and destroy it. It has to be inherent summons, which means synchro summoning, exceed summoning, contact fuse summonings, like Chimera Tech Fortress. These are exceed monsters, synchros, right? You can use them against Ritual Beasts, fusions. You can use them against Cyber Dragon. You can use against Blackluster Soldier, Judgment Dragon. Monsters of that nature, Infernoids, so on and so on. There's a lot of inherent special summons, but typically this is to deal with any extra deck monsters that are summoned by a condition. Oh, and of course the most important, the real reason I use it, but it is useful against all this other stuff, is Pendulum Summoning, because that's an inherent special summon. And when your opponent tries to summon a whole bunch, like 5 monsters at one turn, you can use this one Black Horn of Heaven and stop that and send them to the grave. Especially if they're Pendulum monsters, they won't go to the extra deck, they'll go straight to the grave, which is awesome, which is why I use it. Graydle Parasite. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can special summon one monster from your deck in the attack position. You must control no monsters to activate and resolve this effect. When a Graydle monster you control declares a direct attack, you can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summon to their side of the field in any battle position you choose, typically attack mode. Your opponent must not control any monsters for you to activate and resolve this effect. You can only use these effects once per turn. Obviously that's a really good effect. Defensively, if you have no monsters and your opponent attacks you, you can use this effect to summon a monster. If they for some reason decide to attack your Graydle monster, you get to steal their monster, so that's all great. So this can pretty much stop a battle phase by itself. Also, it's useful for getting a monster. Let's say you have this on the field and you summon a Graydle Alligator, and your opponent, let's say, has a Gaia Dragon, the Dragon Champion. You can attack with Graydle Alligator, activate Parasite's effect, resurrect Gaia Dragon to their side of the field, attack, lose 2100 points of damage, and then take control of it, and then attack for 2600 points of damage to your opponent. Of course, you want to take less damage, so you can use a monster like Graydle Eagle instead, and take only 1100 points of damage as opposed to 2100, so that's 1000 less you'll take for that type of play. But it's a good way of stealing some good stuff from your opponent's graveyard. Let's say they have a hot red dragon in the graveyard, you can steal it using Graydle Parasite and a Graydle monster and take it from their grave. So it's like having 3 monster reborns. Plus, it's almost like having 3 battle faders, or whichever, or negate attacks, or whatever way you want to look at it. Once you use this effect to summon something, usefulness of it is if your opponent attacks and then you activate this effect and then they MST, you still get the effect. So why don't they destroy first and then attack, right? Sometimes the AI tends to attack while this is on the field, then I activate the effect and they MST, and it's like, that's kind of pointless. I'm getting the effect anyway. You should have just MST prior, but whatever. It's the AI, it's not a human. It can make mistakes, right? I guess. Shouldn't anyway. AI is not supposed to make mistakes. I can. Tribute assault mode activate. Obviously, tribute 1 synchro monster, special summon 1 assault monster, whose name includes the tribute monster's name from your deck in attack position. Obviously, you use this on Stardust, and then you bring out Stardust to summon for the deck. Soul Charge, obviously really good. Helps you get back any Stardusts that you tributed during the game. You could bring them back and make more assault modes and have more fun and go crazy. You could also bring back a Graydle Slime and a level 3 Graydle monster, so you can sync run to 8-star like Hot Red or something like that. You know, depending on what you want to do. You can bring back 2 level 3s and exceed into Acid Golem, whatever. You know, whatever floats your boat, right? Typically, you use it to bring back any of your synchros that you might have lost. You want to get their, get them back on the field, get their effects. And useful for getting Graydle Slime and a Graydle monster back, or just getting back a Graydle monster and use that as a defense card, because your opponent doesn't want you to steal their monster, so they won't attack, which lets you stall long enough for you to make a comeback. Black Winged Dragon is for burn, chain burn decks, decks that use a lot of burn effects. You can use this to, reduce, to redirect the damage and turn it into counters, so you don't take damage. So it's a good way of blocking effect damage. Red Dragon Archfiend, useful for when your opponent, has a whole bunch of monsters in attack mode. You can use this and wipe out all those monsters in a single effect and be able to type a 3000. Gotta love that. What's really good if you soul charge into this. You soul charge, bring back Graydle Slime, bring back a Graydle monster, make Hot Red, use Hot Red's effect, wipe out all his attack position monsters, and end your turn. So it's a good combo right there. Graydle Dragon, you can get a similar effect, because you can use the Graydle Slime with a Graydle monster and create him. And when he synchro summon, you can target 2 cards your opponent controls up to the number of water monsters used as synchro materials, which will be 2, and destroy them. If this card is destroyed by battle or by card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 other water monster in your graveyard and special summon it, but its effects are negated on the field, mind you. So if you bring back a Graydle, like Snake or something, Cobra, or Eagle with it, after it dies and goes to graveyard, its effect will trigger in the grave, and you will get its effect. So even though it says negated its effect, it negates it on the field, not in the grave. So you will get their effects if you bring them back. So a good combo would be to bring him back and use his effect. And if he gets destroyed, that's okay. You just bring back a Graydle monster of your choosing, and then go from there. And of course, 3 Stardust Dragon for your assault mode plays and all your destruction negation needs. Acid Golem, just a nice little 3000 beater in case somebody has a skill drain on the field. You can take advantage of that and have a nice little 3000 beater. Exciton Knight, in case you steal a lot of your opponent's level 4 monsters, you can overlay them and make Exciton Knight and detach material. If your opponent has more cards than you on their field and hand combined than you do, destroy all cards on the field. They take no damage for the remainder of the turn. You can only use this effect once per chain. You can't use it twice in a single turn, just once per chain. As long as you meet the requirements, of course. And you can use this effect during your opponent's battle phase. So your main phase and your opponent's battle phase is the 2 times you can activate it. Downward Magician. 2 level 4 spellcaster type monsters. There is none in here, but if you manage to grab 2 level 4 spellcaster fan point, you can make her. Another way you can make her is during your main phase 2. You can also XYZ summon this card using a rank 3 or lower monster you control as XYZ material. In case you steal somebody's Dante, Leviar, Zenmain, or whatever. In case you steal somebody's rank 3 monster during main phase 2, you can summon this on top of that. This gains 200 attack for each material attached to it. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. If this card attacked or was attacked after damage calculation, detach a material from this. So it gets weaker after you keep attacking with it. Alright, number S39 Utopia, the Lightning. You can also XYZ summon this card by using a rank 4 Utopia monster you control as XYZ material and attach it as material. This card if this card attacks or is attacked, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. When this card battles an opponent's monster while it has Utopia as a material, Utopia monster, specifically monster, as a XYZ material during damage calculation, you can detach 2 XYZ materials from this card. This card's attack becomes 5,000 during the damage calculation only. So that's a really, really good thing. If you take somebody's Utopia monster, it could be Utopia Ray, Utopia himself, Utopia Roots, Utopia, any Utopia monster. It could even be another Utopia Lightning. No, it has to be a rank 4, never mind. So you can't even do Utopia Roots or Lightning, but any level 4 Utopia monster. So let's just look it up right quick, right? Out of curiosity. Right, so you can use it on Utopia 1, Utopia Ray, Utopia. Oh yeah, that's pretty much it. It's the only rank 4 Utopia monsters you can use. But at least there's 3 of them that you can choose from. Moving on. Cyber Dragon Infinity, you can XYZ summon this card by using Cyber Dragon Nova as a material. This card gains 200 attack for each XYZ material attached to it. Once per turn, you can target one other face-up attack position monster on the field and attach it to this card as material. Once per turn, during either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated, you can detach one material from this card and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. That's a really, really good effect, obviously. So you can do that if you take somebody's Cyber Dragon Nova. A way you can do that, of course, is with Graydle Parasite, and take somebody's Nova from the graveyard to make your Infinity. If you take somebody's Constellar monster, you can use this to summon on top of that, and the turn in which you summon this, you can't use this effect, but the following turn you can, and once per turn you can detach material from this card to target one monster on the field or in either player's graveyard and return it to the hand. So it's a good way of recycling your cards. Plus, it's a good way of just getting rid of something on your opponent's side. I feel that's pretty strong. Constellar Knight Diamond. If you take your opponent's Teller Knight monster, you can use it as material for summoning Constellar Diamond. While this card has XYZ material, neither player can send cards from the deck to the graveyard, and any cards that returns from the graveyard to the hand is banished instead. Really, really powerful effect, right? During either player's turn, when a opponent's dark monster activates this effect, you can attach a material from this card, negate the activation. If you do, destroy it. So it's almost like another Infinity, but mainly against dark attribute monsters. But then it has the added ability that if your opponent would try to add something from the graveyard to their hand, or you try to add something from your graveyard to your hand, it'll get banished instead. So that's a very powerful effect, and it will prevent any milling or any effect that sends from the deck to the graveyard. So it's just a really, really good effect. Gaia Dragon Charger, if I'm right, I already mentioned this, how you can special, oh no, you can if you take one of your opponent's rank 5 or rank 6 monsters, or you just have one of your rank 5s or 6 that for some reason you don't want them on the field anymore and you want to use Gaia Charger's piercing effect instead, then summon this, and if this card attacks to the vanquished monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. Simple enough, right? This is good in case you steal somebody's Vocal Source, detach, right? Use the effect on their opponent's monster, and then summon this so that we can attack, or so on and so on. This is useful in those scenarios, or in case you have a rank 5 that cannot attack your opponent directly, you can summon Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger, and then you can attack them directly. And Chimera Attack Fortress Dragon, you can summon it by sending one Cyber Dragon monster, one Cyber Dragon on the field, and one or more machine type monsters. Even if Cyber Dragon is in the Spell and Trap card zone, it still will count. You can send it from the Spell and Trap zone to a graveyard and one or more machine type monsters on the field, and you can summon this. And it gains 1,000 attack for each fusion material used to summon it. So for every machine monster, including the Cyber Dragon that you use to summon it, you'll get 1,000. So if you send 3, 3,000. And that's the end of the deck profile.